Hi everybody, it's MA. It is Sunday, and if you live in the Northeast US, happy Blizzard Day. The snow's already started and it's not going to stop for about 24 hours, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, this is kind of my February decks video, which I think I mentioned in something else that I recorded 3 times and kept deleting. And I think the reason was I didn't really feel like planning. I felt like using a lot of decks this month. So let's see what we've been up to. This will also have at the end a few bits and pieces I picked up on kind of a road trip where I visited a bunch of local metaphysical shops last weekend, and also one new deck. Yeah. Before I get started, a couple of videos I've watched that I'm not sure I directed people to yet. Riffle in Time has a great video about why they're not doing a no buy low buy year, which is really thoughtful and I enjoy listening to. And Laura at Aquamarine 18 did one yesterday about ethical questions in tarot, and yeah, it was very thoughtful and I've enjoyed both of those. And I know there's more kicking around on this topic. I haven't gotten through them all yet. So let's see what we've been using. This is the drum I keep beating. I have been using the Tarot Diagnosis Shannon Knight's Wheel of Fortune, Year with the Wheel of Fortune workbook for the last since the beginning of the year. A Year with the Wheel of Fortune card, which every day consists of a guided question. Each month is focusing on a different aspect of the Wheel of Fortune card. January was the clouds. February is the Sphinx. And then there's a few monthly activities as well that include a more specific 2-card reading, a simmer pot, a moon activity, a tarot activity. So I've been really enjoying that. So decks that I've been using that I'm not going to show you because I pulled them out in my micro special purpose collections. So as part of that Wheel of Fortune, I'm using the Dark Goddess Tarot to keep the Fortuna Wheel of Fortune card out. And part of the project is every month you pull a card to accompany that Wheel of Fortune and let them kind of be in dialogue with each other. So I'm using that for altar work, and I also draw a Wild Unknown Archetypes deck to go with that, and I kind of leave it out for the month and just kind of think on it here and there. The other deck I'm using on a monthly basis is a single card from the Ritual Tarot, and that has to do with some work I've been doing in a group. So we've been doing that, yeah. So then I'm doing kind of the normal things. So for my daily card draw, like just a single card in the morning, I've been using this Terra Ultraviolet that I got on Kickstarter a few years ago. And what I've been doing for my single card daily draws is using my larger decks, the ones that I don't really like to use in readings because they're, among other things, they're big. I love this deck. It's I was drawn to it because it's in French, the creators in Quebec. I do believe this is definitely out of print. It was kind of a small run that I backed on Kickstarter. It's in French. It's very queer and feminist. And yeah, it's a different take on some of the cards. I just enjoy doing my daily card with that. And again, I'm going to mention Shannon Knight and Tarot Diagnosis again. If I'm not really thinking what to jot down about the card, I've been considering what challenges me about this card and what validates me about this card. So I'm finding that a great practice to apply to the daily draw. And then like another kind of one-shot a month deal is the Shining Tribe. I can't get it open. Rachel Pollack's deck, the Shining Tribe. I use this in a study group once a month. We're actually meeting on Zoom later today. So yeah, that's pretty much when I work with this deck. And then sometimes if I have readings or card pulls that come up that seem particularly meaningful, sometimes I'll pull the corresponding card from this deck and also look at the guidebook, and I find it is full of really interesting rabbit holes to go down as far as all different parts of history and world cultures. So yeah, that's a deck that pretty much stays in a slow burn rotation. As far as what I've been using for my more structured readings every day, you know, the top 10 pip decks tag was going around, and I did a VR as well, and it made me want to work with pip decks. So I have been, and I've been doing a tarot and oracle pair, a different pair every week. And that's been very interesting. And I've been going back through tarot decks that I feel like I've underutilized and pairing them with oracles I've also kind of underutilized. And I'm finding that the pips with the structure of a guided question is really working out really nicely. So let me show you the first pair. I should have opened the boxes, so I apologize, I did not. So the first pair, I used the Morgan's Tarot, which sadly US Games has now taken out of production, and the Black Salt Tarot. And I think part of my original thinking was because the Sphinxes on the Chariot card are black and white. I was pulling black and white decks, of which I don't have too many, but I have a few. I did not stay consistent with that theme. But these two worked together for me because they're like pop culture-ish, but 50 years apart. So again, with the guided questions and the pip decks, it was really working for me. Knight of Wands, the Fool, your mission is not yet complete. And they just were happy together. And it was a combo that I quite enjoyed using. So that was Black Salt Tarot and Morgan's Tarot. The next pair I used, again, these are decks I definitely underutilize, is the Wild Unknown Tarot. And with the Wild Unknown, I used the Emily Dickinson Divining Poets. So this was a very, I'm going to call this a kind of pointy pairing, because I think the Wild Unknown has a bit of a reputation. It can be a little direct. And again, because sometimes with these kind of pip decks, if I just pull these cards and try to do a general reading, I'm kind of floundering. But the questions really help to, I don't want to be so vague, but let me give samples of some of the questions. And I'm just covering up my writing here. So for February 19th, the question was, what kind of wisdom would you want your metaphysical Sphinx guardian to share with you right now? The one from yesterday or 2 days ago was a thought or idea that you're holding or clinging to a bit too tightly. And the day after that was a thought or idea that you've been careless with. So these are very, you know, personally probing questions. And Wild Unknown plus these kind of cryptic, oracular Emily Dickinson snippets were the kind of thing where I had to sit there and really ponder it for a while. That is for sure. There was a lot of pondering, and it was a little challenging in far of unraveling the reading, and then some of the responses were a little challenging as well. But I did like them together. I could also see using the Morgan's Tarot with the Wild Unknown, I think might lighten it up a little bit. So that's an option I might use in the future. I think those would be good together. Yeah. So that was an exciting week. So both of those first 2 weeks of the month, I really liked the pairs a lot. Then we get to this week that just passed, where I pulled out the Blue Earth Tarot. Possibly, you know, one of the pippiest decks I have. It's very, very spare. And I find it very beautiful. I find the readings very, like I don't know, very grounded, and I kind of sink down into them very, very peacefully. The pentacles are hands. Swords are rain. This is the Lovers and the Hierophant. So yes, I love this deck very much. I get nice readings with it. And then I decided to use an oracle with it that I have underutilized. So I tried pairing it with the Dark Earth Oracle because I thought it was being very clever. Blue Earth and Dark Earth. And I know when I have showed this deck in the past, I had my doubts about it. And I'm not sure I have doubts about it anymore. I think it's just not working for me. I may try it in another pairing, but I don't know. I was so interested in the keywords and the colors, but when I look at them, they are just fuzz to me. And also, and this is a me thing, the production quality on this deck is beautiful. The keywords are interesting. The colors are amazing. The guidebook is just not for me. So honestly, I disregard it because I read a few of them. It gets into that kind of new agey, cosmic side of things that is just not my scene. So I don't know. I think I'm on the fence about whether I'm going to keep that oracle or not. And maybe it's because I was using it with the wrong deck. I may try it with one other deck, but I've been on the fence about it since I got it. So, you know, I'm not hastening to get rid of things, but when I pull a deck out to use it for a week and the next day comes and I'm like, oh, that deck again, you know, that's a sign. That's a sign. So not everything's a blazing success. And for the upcoming week, when I did the pip decks, I pulled out my Tarot of the Drowning World. This is a deck that has been in and out of my purgatory box many times. And this year I pulled it back out, or maybe last year I pulled it back out, but still had not used it. So the time has come. I'm going to use this deck. I'm going to use the deck. I'm going to try it out. I played with it a little bit last week. I feel different about it now than I did when I first got it. I feel different about pip decks in general than when I first got it. I feel I can bring more to the deck now. And I mean, it is just so stunning. So I'm going to give that a try. And to pair with it, I'm going to use the Poesis Oracle, or Poesis. This is one of my favorite oracles ever. And I find that whenever I use it, it enhances. There's always synchronicities with the tarot deck. It really seems to enhance readings for me. So I'm going to give these two a shot together. And we're going to see how this goes. So, you know, when February started, I had only planned to use half of these decks. And look what happened. So we're using a lot of decks this month, and that's okay. I just felt like mixing things up and going through the shelves and pulling things that appealed to me or things that I was questioning and playing with those. So that's what we did. Let's see. So yeah, last weekend I went for a little joyride and I ended up visiting, let's see, 3 different kind of metaphysical shops and 1 crystal shop. Had a little bit of cabin fever because we've had so much snow here and it's been so cold. I wasn't really going anywhere. So I thought, let's go visit some local businesses and, you know, spread a little support here and there. So here's what I ended up with. One place I went to for the first time, the Dreaming Goddess up in Poughkeepsie. I got a few of their, I think they sell a lot of crystals. I did get like a little you know, like a mesh bag with a specific intention with a few stones in it. But mostly I wanted to try some of the things that they made in-house. So they made, this is a protection spray, which smells absolutely delicious. And they make a bunch of their own intention oils, and they had made one for the year of the fire horse. And yeah, it said, awaken the fire within, forward momentum. And who couldn't use that? So I picked that up as well. And another thing I picked up from them is they had these beeswax candles made by someone locally, and this Ganesha kind of called to me, and it smells heavenly. I'm just kind of leaving it out. I'm not sure I'll ever burn it. It just smells so delicious in this beautiful golden yellow color. So yeah, that's was my little foray at the Dreaming Goddess. Some other stuff I picked up at different shops. This is a tarot bag, which just, you know, somebody handmade, crocheted it, and I loved that it had the sun on it. And I picked that up. And what else? Oh, a new piece of quartz. I'm not usually one into the heart-shaped things, but this one, there was something about how soft the carving was here in the middle and how well it fit in my palm, and that it has like a ton of inclusions, which I like kind of messy quartz, so I did pick that up. What else? At another spot, someone had these little sets of dressed tea lights, so pick those up. And for Modern Druid, I have the person who runs the shop, Morgana, makes oils, and I did pick up another one. This is for working with death, mortality, grief, and loss, which I'm still in the process of processing. And yeah, it smells divine, and it's I like to support their shop. All of these are places that, you know, yes, they're a business, but they also provide a lot of community space, and I'm happy that there's so many near me, although they're mostly about an hour drive away. But yeah, I'm just glad they're there, and I had a little road trip to go support some local businesses. Then one more deck I worked with, I forgot. Where I had one of these readings where my responses in the journal seemed to be important to me. One of my micro collections I put in a separate pile as decks for writing practice, creative practice, and journaling. So where I had a reading that was particularly, I wanted to explore more, I used this Folklore Tarot to pull a card, because these cards include questions, and yeah, it's just to use that as a prompt to fill a few journal pages. So I have been using this one. This is a deck I hadn't really used yet, and I'm finally using it now that it's in the special purpose bucket. Okay, the last thing is I got an Oracle deck that I had on my watch list for maybe like 5 years ago, and it's subsequently gone out of print, but it is pretty readily available. And it popped into my mind the other day, and I checked eBay, and someone was selling one who mostly sells books, and I think they use the funds to support like a local library. So thank you for supporting the library. Be safe. The world is crazy. Enjoy, from Kira. This is very much an art deck. I'm not sure how I'll use it for divination, or if I will, or if it's just going to be an art object. But this is called More Stupids, and it's by the artist Emmy Bright. It comes in this kind of brown cardboard slip box with this book. And in the book were a couple of this beautiful reflective postcard, Alone Together, that was for from an art exhibition in 2021, and something else about an exhibit. Yeah, so I'm gonna flip through the cards. They are very odd, and I think, you know, when I say they're an art piece, they really are like a small art exhibit, and I'll pick one and read the book entry, and you'll see what I mean, I think. Some have text, some don't. I love you for as long as I love you for as long as I love you. I love this one. Your chaos and mine. This one's just an image. I made you a sad Rothko. There's a bunch of that theme. Why don't you want this? Another. Just an image. Gender, trouble, 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 trouble. If only. Worst fear, best fantasy. I made you a pink washed Rothko. I'll just flip through the rest. This is hard to read. I'm not asking you to be a rebel or an anarchist, but it might help. Some are song lyrics. Say you, say me. The mask after removing the mask. Things as if they were otherwise. Lack. And also the cards are giant. Okay, we're going to put that one aside. Your dreams. The Venn diagram of not me and me. Cruel optimism, Emerald City. This one's apt today. To give something you don't have to someone who doesn't exist. In here with me, please come. I made you an inverse Rothko. I made you a Rothko. And that's the deck. Let me see if I can pick one. So here's one with a very simple entry. This was the card that said, in here with me, please come. And the entry is, it is a joy to be hidden and a disaster not to be found, by D.W. Winnicott, Playing in Reality. There was another one I read that was a story about being interviewed for a Sports Illustrated story about discrimination against women in high school sports. And then when the story was printed, it was completely washed into, a photograph of the person with a bunch of pink stuffed animals and washed away the feminist complaints. I made you a Rothko. For 8 years, I cultivated a series of long-term platonic love affairs with men. It was always one-sided, secret, and I was celibate. I would call it my sabbatical. So some of these entries are personal stories. So fascinating deck. Don't know what I'll do with it, but I'm glad I picked it up. As I said, the cards are enormous, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, but sometimes that's the right answer. And I guess happy February, question mark. I hope you are all staying as safe and calm as you can. As the note says, be safe, the world is crazy. And I hope, I think part of me thinks that some of the things we do just take a little piece of the crazy away, or polish it, or something, If we're all just little tiny grains of sand, at least we're the pretty polished grains of sand. And I don't know, maybe I'm a grain of sand that can get stuck in an annoying, terrible person's eye and give them some accidental pain. I don't know what that means. Okay, take care of yourselves.